Let them judge you. What does it matter? They are not who you want to be. You're going to make the decision to do what is required because that is what you want. Only take the lesson. Quiet the ego. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that we've lost that as a society today. People can get stuck in intending to do something, but never taking actual action. It's okay to not have and not be where you want to be. The only thing in the way between you and your goals is there's nothing wrong with shame when it attacks behaviors that are misaligned with who you say that you want to be, who you actually committed to being. Shame, when it's just applied to your core identity or who you are or physical features that aren't in relation, that aren't changeable, or anything that's not changeable for that matter, is toxic and unhelpful. But I think a little bit of shame, I wouldn't say shame is the right word. I would say call out is the right word. Calling out someone's actions in an inner circle in a masculine friend group. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that we've lost that as a society today. I think we have too much emphasis on building each other up and not enough emphasis on on tearing the bad parts of each other down. You need both for a successful anything. To have anything successful, you need to build up and you need to prune. Because as you build up, you will get weeds. And you need to prune those weeds away, or else those weeds are going to overtake and destroy your success. A large part of success isn't just what we do, it's what we don't do. We need to be able to realize that there are things that we do that aren't helpful for us. We need to be called out on our bullshit when we take action that isn't aligned with who we want to be. Otherwise, we live inside an echo chamber in a way where we don't ever receive any negative feedback. If you're doing something that's hurting you and in your inner circle, nobody else is doing that, and your inner circle is full of people that are ahead of you in some way. But if somebody says, I'm going to lose all this weight, and in that circle, you see them eating ice cream every day, and then the third time you're like, you're eating ice cream again. I think that's a positive masculine frame in a inner circle of men where you can have that because it is a positive uplifting thing, because it's almost like a consequence. It's an extra consequence because we as humans are social creatures, and having that kind of social consequence will help us with our goals. I don't think it's always the right choice, but I don't think it's unhealthy. I think that that's a lost part of a lot of masculine inner circles. And you don't need to be an asshole about it, too. It could even be as gentle as, hey, man, I thought you said you were going to start losing weight. Why are you always eating ice cream again? Or something like that. I don't believe it's in most masculine inner circles. And I think that's should be a bit more prevalent today. So yeah, I do think that a little bit of shame, being called out for your actions, not for something deeper, not for shaming you. You don't want to shame someone for something that they legitimately can't change. Putting down someone that is a burn victim who has burns all over their face is just wrong. But we see people do that kind of thing all the time. Not necessarily to that extent, but for things that people can't genuinely change. Or for things that people basically can't change. Or for where people are right now. It might take a while to implement something. We don't want to shame people for that, for where they are in their journey. But we do want to shame when they say they're going to do something, and then they fuck off and they don't do what they say they're going to do. And you don't want to attack someone if they're not receptive to this. You got to know your audience. You're going to read the room. I think that the room is set up into society today, 99 times out of 100, if not more, to not be accommodating for that. We don't have this call-out culture anymore. It's not a thing in most friend groups, in most anything. I think it's we're just so used to building each other up. The other thing is that we can get stuck in intentions. People can get stuck in intending to do something, but never taking actual action. There's a big difference, a world of difference between the two. In order to have the goals that we want, in order to actually achieve things, we need to take action. We need to do the necessary steps required. Having the intention is great because you need the intention in order to take the action. But people can get stuck in this dopamine cycle of setting the intention, writing the goals down, doing the research, and they stay there. They stay in this cycle of intention, goal, research, and it's not necessarily a orderly thing. It could be in any order. And you get dopamine from that because you feel like you're making progress. But in order to get anything, you need to be able to get through that phase and move on from that. You need to be able to start taking action. So if somebody says, I'm not who I want to be today, that's fine. It's okay to not be where you want to be. It's okay to not have what you want to have. You don't have to shame yourself for that. That will just erode your relationship with yourself. And yes, you do have a relationship with yourself. You don't want to corrode that in any way. Shame and guilt are just, they're just usually really, really, really last resort low-level tools, if used at all. But a lot of times they're the ego's first choice, and we need to learn to let go of that. It's okay to not have and not be where you want to be, and often that's a moving target. Where you want to be is always going to keep moving forward as you move forward. So sometimes because that delta, that distance between where you are and where you want to be is so large, and it keeps moving with you, it doesn't feel like you're making progress. When in actuality, you are. So we want to remember that too. Take a moment every now and then and realize how much progress you've made. How much you've done. You need to call yourself out on that bullshit too. But you also need to pair that with applauding yourself for moving forward, for doing the right actions. Now, if you're in the present moment of, I'm not who I want to be, but that's because you're not doing any of the actions of the man that you want to be. If you're not doing any of the actions of becoming the person that would get those goals. So if you have these goals, those are great. Those are what I would call the tangibles, even if they're technically intangible, but they're items of achievement. They're achievements, right? what's in the way of that, the only thing in the way between you and your goals is the bridge of action. Action is the cure-all. Action is what gets you from point A to point B. Without that, you're stuck. So if you're not taking the actions of the man that would have those goals, think of the person that would have those goals, of the person that would actually be achieving those goals. Are you the kind of person that would have those goals based on your actions most recently? And that might be what you're asking. That might be what you're saying, that I'm not that person right now. And that gives you exact direction. Because it says, okay, well, here are the actions, and you can write them down too. Here are the actions that the person, that version of me would take. Here are the habits. Here's when I would wake up. Here is what kind of food I would eat. Here's when what exercises I would do. Then you have the goals. No, then you have the actions. Sorry. The only thing to do now is to take them. It's to do those actions. Which is easier said than done. I understand that. My recommendation to you is to not try to pile all of them on. It's to not try to do all of them at once. But slowly take bit by bit little pieces of those goals. And to start small. Start at a lighter weight than actual what the person that you want to be would do. Because if you try to do it way too much up front, you're going to burn yourself out. You're not going to be able to do that much weight at first, even though motivationally in your mind, when that spark is there to actually take action, you're going to be like, yes, I'm going to do it all. I'm going to achieve all of these things, and I'm going to take everything on at once. But that's using up all your fuel on the start line. You want to be smart about it. And you want to dose your fuel out all through the marathon. Your body will use that fuel much better if you sparingly use it all throughout rather than all at once. It's not going to sustain. So take it bit by bit and move from there. Hey, real quick, if you're struggling with porn or lust, I put together a free 10-minute training that breaks down the yin-yang states that help me stop giving into urges and find peace without white-knuckling it. It's no fluff, just the exact framework that made the biggest difference for me. If that sounds helpful, click the link below. It's 100% free, and if not, enjoy the rest of this episode. When someone says they're not who they want to be, that means that they're not taking actions of the person they want to be. They're not doing the right things. Either they're literally just not doing something, or they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing. And both will degrade your own self-confidence, and both will degrade your own identity because it's misaligned with who you are or who you could be, who you know you are inside, because we all have that inner voice. And people can have an intention to change, and they can feel that within. But if they don't have the actual actions to back it up, they're not going to change. It's important to have the actions to back it up. Otherwise, you're just spinning your wheels, being stuck in place. You think, and oftentimes people can get stuck in that too, where we are thinking we are making progress because we're thinking about it, We're thinking of our goals, we're writing it down, we're getting clear about it, but then if we don't actually take action, we get the feel good of all the thinking about it and telling people, but then we never actually take action. We need to take action in order to get the goals done. That's a necessary component of it. It's almost like getting the reward without doing the actual work. You need to do the work.
Yeah, that distinction you made matters. The upside of that kind of call-out culture is it creates social friction where there otherwise is none. Without it, intentions get a free pass. Here's what I'm curious about though. How do you help a guy tell the difference between, I'm being checked because I said I wanted more, and, I'm just being judged, especially when his actions don't match yet, but his desire is real? Like, what's the signal that keeps it corrective instead of corrosive?
I think if someone's calling out your misaligned behavior, where you know you want this goal and even if you committed to it or not, if you know you want this goal and you put it out there and you tell people, and then they start calling you out for not going after it, for breaking your plan, for breaking your word, you need to be a man of your word. Because that is what gives you self-integrity, and that is what keeps you bonded to your goal. If you don't keep your promises to yourself, you wear that down and then you can't trust yourself. And if you can't trust yourself, your brain starts to work against you. So I guess my take on that would be, let them judge you. Let them judge you. What does it matter? They're not who you want to be. And if they are, they're not the ones in control of your life. Hate always comes from below. It doesn't come from above, meaning you're not going to receive criticism from people that are more successful than you, because those people are actually intelligent enough and humble enough not to put down people on the path because they know how hard it is. Your hate comes from below, never above. You're not going to get criticism from people that are actually doing what you want to do. You might get constructive criticism, that's different, but you're not going to get pure judgment because people understand that, oh, okay, you're on the path and you're actually taking actions. Constructive criticism is, hey, you said you're going to do this, why aren't you doing this? No excuses. If you are being judged, that's a toxic environment to get out of. You don't want to surround yourself with people that are judging you just for doing whatever you're doing, which is going to be the majority of people, because most people don't do anything with their lives. Most people don't take the initiative, take action, and don't improve themselves. They stay where they are, they're stuck, they spiral, they don't do anything with their lives, and they just stay exactly where they are. That's not going to be you, because you're going to make the decision to take action. You're going to make the decision to do what is required because that is what you want. You are going to make the decision to get your goals, to commit, and to take action day in, day out because you desire that and you want to achieve something and make something of yourself, and you want to follow your higher calling, your higher purpose, the inner voice within. That's going to be you, because you're not going to listen to their judgment. You can take their constructive criticism. Maybe they're right, but only take the lesson. Quiet the ego. Don't take things so personally. If it feels like an attack, take a step back and ask yourself, is this person actually trying to help me? If they're actually trying to help you, and it both can be true, they could be also trying to help you with a little bit of malintent out of judgment or spite. Does it feel like it's coming from their ego? Or does it feel like it's coming from a genuine place of help? That's how you figure that out. If it's coming from a place of, I want to help this person, then there you go. That's helpful. Or do you think they're just belittling you because of some egoic reason? That, oh, this person, I want to make myself feel bigger. Do you think that they actually need to make themselves feel bigger? Because if you're surrounded with people that are actually bigger than you or more successful than you, then it's not going to feel, they're not going to need to feel that. they already are in a better spot than you. And, it could be said that people will put you down if they are below you, like, haha, I'm better than you. But again, quiet the ego, take the lesson, decide if they're actually being malicious or not. Do they actually have your best interest at heart? And carry on. That's all we can do.
I hear the spine in that. The upside is you're putting agency back on the man. You decide what feedback gets weight. Let me poke one edge though, just to sharpen it. If hate comes from below, how does a guy avoid using that idea as armor to ignore necessary discomfort? Like, when the feedback stings, what keeps him from reflexively labeling it below me, instead of asking, is this revealing the gap between who I say I am and what I repeat?
Well, that's just the thing. You need to, regardless of if it comes from below or from above, you need to take the lesson in that. You need to find out what they're trying to actually say. Maybe it is just judgment. But if it is just judgment, you got to take the lesson from it. You got to say, okay, is this person just attacking me because they want to make themselves feel bigger? Or are they trying to help me in some way? If they're trying to help you in some way, and again, it could be both. If they're trying to help you in some way, take what's helpful and use it for your own advantage. That way you can't lose. Regardless of if it's pure hate, pure judgment, pure criticism, without any constructiveness, or if it is constructive criticism, you win either way if you just look for the lesson. Basically, think of it, somebody hands you a piece of paper. Oh, what is this? Okay, there's nothing here for me. I don't need that, and you toss it away. Don't internalize it. Now, if they're a shitty person that you have to deal with on a daily or on a regular basis, you might want to consider cutting them out if they're continuing to do this again and again, or bringing it up with them or whatever. But if it's a one-off, who cares? Take the lesson. That's all you can do and apply it. It's like, is this going to apply to my situation?
That's clean. You're basically saying, every interaction is winnable if you extract the lesson and refuse the identity hit. Let me ground it so it doesn't stay abstract. Say a guy leaves the conversation and still feels that identity drag, that low grade, maybe I'm not that guy, feeling. What's the move that same day that turns the lesson into action, so it doesn't just become another thought he agrees with but doesn't embody? Because this whole frame lives or dies on repetition, not insight.
Well, I do think that self-love needs to be practiced. I think that every day you should wake up and you should. And self-love looks different from person to person and depending on the way you want to live your life, if you're living in a masculine or feminine way. I think a masculine way to live life is to wake up and say that you are the man, that you can accomplish anything that you set your mind to, that you are the person that's going to get it done, that nobody else can get it done but you. That you are the person that's going to take action and initiate and organize and lead the way. And if you live like that, and again, it goes back to what I was saying about self-esteem, about self-confidence, about trust in yourself. Because if you do that, and you don't want to be all talk and no action, you don't want to be all bark, no bite. If you talk big, you can have an ego, but I don't think it's a real ego if you back it up with action. If you talk big and say you're going to do all these things, but not in a braggadocious way, in a way that is true to how you feel and true to what you actually are set on doing, regardless of what anybody else thinks, if you take the action and do that, you're going to build your self-esteem. And when you walk away from that kind of conversation where someone puts you down, you're not going to be fazed. What can they say that isn't going that, okay, maybe because we all have insecurities. So that's what is going to hurt the most when someone pokes at your insecurities. But the thing is to realize that those insecurities aren't going to help you, and that positioning yourself in a way where you're the man and realizing that insecurities come from a low place of not being good enough in some way, either through comparison with others, comparison with where you expect to be. You need to roll with it. You need to have your own sense of inner approval. You need to be able to say, I did that. Good job. You need to be able to pat yourself on the back. Or at the very least, not tear yourself down. And both worlds can exist. You need to emotionally pat yourself on the back while also logically saying, well, I could have done more. Now, if you couldn't have done more, if you truly gave it your all, then, you don't need to do that. You shouldn't rely on other people's approval. If someone's saying, you didn't do what you said you were going to do, it should be almost like an inner voice saying that to you as a reminder to say, shit, I didn't. I said I was going to do these things, but then I didn't. I broke that promise to myself. So it shouldn't be a approval seeking from others. They might not even give you approval, which is fine. But they might give you the shit because you didn't do it. You didn't do what you said you were going to do. Which I think is a fine motivator, too. So you're not doing it for other people, ever. You're not doing it for their approval or disapproval. But it is a reminder to yourself, and hearing it from an outside source confirms and verifies that. You need to be your own self-governor of your actions, whether or not you took the right actions today or not. And after that, it doesn't matter. After that, it's like a notification reminder from other people, which can be helpful, but isn't the foundation. When someone's stuck in the loop of just setting goals, doing research, and never taking actual action, if you're stuck in that loop, the important thing is first of all, the first action should be to stop doing that, to cement one thing, cement one action, one goal, you should have enough research. You've researched it enough, right? If you're really in this loop, you've researched it enough. You don't need to be 100% sure. Be 80% sure. Bet on yourself. Then choose one thing to work on. Not all of them. One thing. One plan of action. Don't make it perfect. You need to get out of this perfectionism mindset. Because perfectionism and analysis paralysis will keep you stuck for years. Then years go by, and you have all these plans, but you're no closer to your goals in actuality. The person that gets up and tries and fails and tries and fails and iterates is going to be far more successful, because in between, there's a lot of success in between. A lot of things you can only learn firsthand. Learning third hand helps, don't get me wrong. It accelerates the journey. It makes things easier. It gives you a guiding path. And it will help you achieve your goals for sure. But it's only good up to a point. It should be taken as a supplement. Think of any third-hand information as a supplement. If you're not hitting your protein goals, you should take a supplement of protein powder, right? But it shouldn't be you're eating 4 scoops of protein powder to hit your protein goals. It should be mixed along with actual natural sources from regular food. And in this analogy, that regular food is taking actual action. Because here's the main thing. Your journey, your adventure, your life has so many variables in it that it's impossible to get direct information exactly from somebody else that's lived that exact life. Your systems, your variables, your everything in your life is going to be different than somebody else's. There's a lot of broad knowledge that can be applied to your life, but it's not going to be one-to-one, which is why you need to do it for you, because there's literally no way around that. You need to get up and take action and fail and get back up and fail and get back up and succeed and fail and get back up. And that's how it is. As long as you're taking steps forward, eventually you'll stop failing as much and you'll start moving forward. Or you'll climb up that ladder and you'll go 2 rungs down, but then you'll go 4 steps forward. And the better you get, it's exponential because you'll start to be able to learn how to climb that ladder better and you'll go up more and more and more. You'll go up more than you're losing. And then it'll be 10 rungs up, 1 rung down. And you'll just keep getting better. Doing that is exponentially better than any amount of books, any amount of seminars or courses or anything like that. The courses lay the foundation. The books lay the foundation. Once you have that, you should just go. Even if you don't, you should have some knowledge about what you're doing, obviously. But once you have that, go. Take the action. Initiate. And commit to that. And if something's not working, then you resort those things. Then you seek out the knowledge. This isn't work. You try. Shit, this isn't working. I need to fix this problem. There's a hole in my bucket that's leaking water. I need to fix this problem. How do you do that? You go and search through the databases, through how other people solve that problem. Because that is why it's so important to commit to something, to have a standard list, to have a list of things that you are going to do every day that is a habit. And again, don't make these too way big, start small. Make this reasonable. Do something that actually makes sense that you could actually do on a consistent basis and then build up. Start small. It's more important to build the consistency over anything else. At least then you're stacking some points, because if you start the other way, you start building something that's way too big, and then you're going to fall off, miss some days, and then you just won't pick it up again. You want to build something small and build onto it, and that is the correct way of framing it. I think a big part of it also could be publicly committing. If you publicly commit in an online thing that you are going to do this and you're going to update this blog or whatever it is, Discord server or anything like that every day, then that keeps you publicly accountable. So even if you don't have those kind of people to give you shit in real life, you can find that online. There's 2 ways of doing the standard list. Number 1, you do a challenge that you basically commit for 90 days or 60 days or however many days to do the same thing every day and commit to that without breaking, or you restart the challenge. That in itself can be a internal thing to keep you going because you don't want to restart the challenge just because it feels like a momentous loss. It feels like that. Number two, you just post every day and you post where you won and where you lost. And even in posting, it keeps you consistent. That way you know what things you are actually your standard. Or even if you write it down for yourself, if you write down your standards and say these are concretely, that's the thing. What I am advocating for is you don't want to have your standards willy-nilly in your head, airy and up in the air and without actual concreteness. If you have your standards written out, you have no excuse to falter on them. You know what your standards for your life are. And you don't want to take that as a big blow to your ego if you do mess up. Everybody messes up from time to time. Most people mess up from time to time. The whole point of it isn't to never mess up. Is that ideal? Yes. But the whole point of having standards is to make progress in your life. The more you can commit to your standards, the more progress you will make. The more you'll be acting in alignment to what you want to have, to who you want to be. And that it'll get closer and closer to that. And you'll achieve things along the way. Rome wasn't built in a night. And one tiny slip wouldn't destroy Rome in a night. You want to be able to have little slip-ups. Because realistically, that's what's going to happen. Things are going to come up. You're going to oversleep. You're going to have to do something that you didn't plan for. That's how life is. And sometimes sacrificing your health or sacrificing something else isn't the move. Sometimes other things are more important than quote unquote standards. Sometimes it is. Sometimes if it's sacrificing comfort, yes, of course. But other times you don't want to sacrifice your health just to meet some quota. Your standards should be the bare minimum. They should be a good set of standards of things that you actually want to do that will actually aid in progress in your life. But they shouldn't be the end all be all, only achieve these. You should be going above and beyond them too. And if you don't have the flexibility, your standards are too big. Your standards are too much. If your standards are timing out every second of every day, you have zero wiggle room. You need to have that wiggle room a bit. But things like working out every day, or even 40 minutes of working out every day, or an hour of working out every day, or 20 minutes of working out, a standard like that is appropriate.
Yeah, this is solid, and I like that you're separating challenge mode from reporting mode. Both keep identity concrete instead of fuzzy. Let me tighten one bolt, because this is where people misinterpret standards. If the point isn't perfection, what exactly is the standard enforcing? Is it never miss, or is it never lie to yourself about the miss? Because those produce very different men over 3 to 5 years. And I want to underline something you implied, but didn't quite say out loud. Writing standards down isn't about motivation, it's about removing ambiguity. Once it's written, every day becomes a simple yes, no instead of a debate. So last nudge here. When someone breaks a standard, what's the correct next 24 hours response so the system stays intact instead of turning into guilt management?
Standards are there so that you know what you have to do, so that you have no ambiguity there. Standards are there so that you can concretely say, I succeeded at this standard or not. And that's why they're built. They're not built to just have a goal and a dream. There's something that you actually commit to and execute on as a habit every single day. And whether you feel like it or not. And that way you have this set of standards. Did I do all of my standards today? It pushes you to do the standards that you don't even feel like doing that day. Say you did 3 out of 4 of them. you're going to do that last one. Most likely you're going to have that extra push because that's one of your standards. And not doing the one when you already did the 3 almost makes the 3 feel like they're irrelevant. Hey, just real quick. A lot of guys watching this are fighting their urges in silence, thinking they just need more willpower. But that couldn't be further from the truth. And that's exactly why I created this free training. It walks you through the exact emotional shifts that help me stop chasing urges and start rewiring. If porno lust is a part of your struggle, I think it'll really help. Links below. You should have the goal of never miss. The goal, okay. The idea isn't actually perfection, but you should have the aim to do that. Just like when you are an archer. Just like an archer points his arrow to try to get a bullseye every time. That's the goal. That's the aim. But an archer realistically knows that they're not going to get a bullseye every single time. They're going to sometimes miss. They're going to hit a lot of close ones. And they're going to hit some bullseyes too. And the better that you get at it, the more bullseyes that you'll hit. The more days of doing all the standards you're going to hit. But every now and then, the wind is going to come. And you're not going to be able to hit all of them. All you can do is focus on trying to actually hit the bullseye. The standard keeps you showing up to the field every day to hit the bullseye, to try to hit the bullseye. Without it, you might not ever show up at all. And don't lie to yourself about it. If you don't hit that standard that day, you got to put it. Because otherwise it defeats the whole purpose. Remove the ambiguity. Ambiguity is where goals die. If you do break a standard, it's important not to go down a spiral of staying stuck on that standard, that you didn't hit it, that I didn't do it yesterday, so might as well not do it today. No. If you fall off your horse while you're riding a horse, what do? You get right back on the horse and you continue down your path. You don't sit there in the dirt, in the sand, and squabble. You don't sit there and flounder about complaining that you fell off your horse. When you're going down a path, you're going to fail. And if you don't, then this preparation is just fine. You never used it. Fine. But you want to get back on your horse. All you have to do if you fail is get back on your horse. You fall off your horse. You don't lay there in the sand. You get back on your horse. You keep going down the path and you continue like it never happened. Will that failure probably slow you down? Will falling off that horse delay your arrival? Yes. But it's better than sitting in the sand and not doing anything or feeling sorry for yourself. Because that'll delay your arrival for sure. Continue like it never happened. Learn the mistake, learn why it happened, learn if it was necessary or not, take the lesson, and continue down the path.
Yeah, that's the cleanest framing of it. Fall, remount, keep direction. No drama. Let me sharpen one thing for the listener who says they're getting back on the horse but keeps falling in the same spot. When someone breaks the same standard over and over, what's the signal that it's not a willpower issue but a badly designed standard? Like, how do you tell the difference between, I need more discipline, and, this standard is lying about who I am right now? Because that's where identity calcifies too, either into strength or into quiet self-deception.
I think certain standards can be broken repeatedly and not be in misalignment with who you are. Certain things are far more difficult and sometimes take years to develop. Certain things are just not in alignment with who you are, though. And it's a difficult distinction to know whether it is or not, because you might want something, but it might not actually apply to your life. Other times, something is difficult, so you put it off and you don't do it, but it still applies to your life and that you should have it in your life. A lot of times it might be an environment thing or a social thing or a timing thing. You have to try a lot of different angles for fitting that standard in your life if you actually really want it. You need to work through why it's not working. I don't think there is if you want something, add it to your life. Plain and simple. There's no, this isn't working for me. And that's it. If you actually want something, find a way to make it work. If you keep falling off, it's not a willpower thing. It's a systems thing. You want to design the systems in your life to make it work. If you're not taking the action, if you're not doing the habit that you want to do, there's a reason behind it. Either you're doing too much weight up front, something is blocking you from doing it, or you don't actually want it. So you have to ask yourself, is this actually something that you want in your life? Are you willing to sacrifice whatever effort and pain every day that is required for it? If not, it doesn't apply to your life. If you're not willing to make that actual sacrifice in reality, not in an airy-fairy reality or a fantasy land, in a grounded reality of I am actually going to commit to this and take the action required every day. And yes, I will put in the effort and the sacrifice and it's worth it to me. Maybe you have to reel it back a bit. Maybe you have to change your systems. But figure it out. Figure out how to make it work, motherfucker. If you want something in your life, if you're serious about it, find a way. You can make it work. You can figure it out. So do it. Don't pretend that it's something out of your control. Don't pretend that, oh, maybe this isn't for me. If there's something that you want and it feels right having it, not necessarily even the process of it, but it feels like you are called to be doing this every day or called to be getting this in some way, make the effort to make it work in your life. Don't give up on it so easy. Keep working. Keep the effort. Stay the course. Change as needed. And you will find a way to make it work. Be relentless about it. And figure it out. Hey, before you go, you made it this far, which means you're a part of the 1% that actually want to improve. So here's a free gift for you in case you want to break free from porn or lust. It's a 10-minute yin-yang training. It's straight to the point. It shows you how I actually overcame the urge loop without only relying on discipline. It's 100% free, and it's the first link in the description. I highly recommend starting there today if that's something that you'd like to stop.